In this video, we are going to talk about the top 8 cards that you should pick up at your pre-release from Aetherdrift. We're only going to reference cards that you can get out of a play booster, so nothing that comes in the pre-constructed commander decks. At number 8, we have Full Throttle, which has Red 4 sorcery, and then after this main phase, there are 2 additional combat phases. At the beginning of each combat this turn, untap all creatures that attacked this turn. Full Throttle is basically the red time stretch. Full Throttle is going to be an auto-include in commander decks that feature Aetherdrift 2 Heavens as one. Aetherdrift doubling attack triggers means that you're going to want additional combat steps, so having 2 more seems great. Other commanders that would absolutely love this card are Animkal, Aurelia the World Leader, and Xenagos, God of Revels. At number 7, we have Howlsquad Heavy, which for a red and 2 is a Goblin Mercenary that is a 2/3 that has the ability Start Your Engines. Also has the other ability of other goblins you control have haste. And guess what? It has another ability, which at the beginning of combat on your turn, create a 1/1 red goblin creature token. That token attacks this combat if able. And then it has one last ability, which is going to reference the Start Your Engines ability that has max speed, which is tap, add red for each goblin you control. This card is a no-brainer for any Krenko Mob Boss commander decks. If you're willing to cut some mountains from your deck, there is a cycle of lands called the Raceways, which all have the ability of Start Your Engines that can help your Howlsquad Heavy get to that max speed before it comes out. At number 6, we have Radiant Lotus, which for 6 mana is an artifact mythic that comes into play untapped that has the ability to tap, sacrifice 1 or more artifacts. Then choose a color, target player adds 3 mana of the chosen color for each artifact stacked this way. This card pairs so nicely with cards like Second Sunrise and Faith's Reward to be able to sack all those artifacts and gain a lot of mana and then cast one of these spells to then return all those cards, including the Lotus, back to the battlefield. To maximize the value of Radiant Lotus, you're going to want to pair it with cards like Ichor Wellspring and Chromatic Star, for when those things die, you get to draw a card. You're going to want a copy of Codex Shredder in your deck. Since it has the ability for 5 mana and tap, you can sacrifice Codex Shredder and return target card from your graveyard to your hand. Well, the card that you're going to be returning is either going to be Faith's Reward or Second Sunrise. If you have enough artifacts, you'll be able to establish a loop of this to create infinite mana. The first deck I'm going to be building with Radiant Lotus is Yurlok. Since it has the ability to target other players, I love the idea of being able to just eliminate an opponent by giving them all the mana. Other commanders that are going to want this card are treasure decks like Magda, Brazen Outlaw, Esper decks like Tivit. At number 5, we have Oviya Automech Artisan, which for 3 and a green is a 1/2 legendary creature, human artificer, that has 2 abilities. The first one being each creature that's attacking one of your opponents has trample. The second one, which is the one I'm the most excited about, and probably the Tims around the world are the most excited about, is green, tap, you may put a creature or vehicle card from your hand onto the battlefield. If you put an artifact onto the battlefield this way, put 2 +1/+1 counters on it. We finally have an Elvish Piper that we can put into our command zone. This mono green commander is going to be built a little bit different than other green commander decks, since what you're going to want to do is protect your commander at all costs. So cards like Lightning Greave or Tamiyo Safekeeping are going to be cards that you're going to want to auto include. Of course, this deck is going to want a Blightsteel Colossus. It's an auto include, and I love the idea of making it from an 11/11 to that unlucky number 13/13. Our other auto-include stompy creatures are going to include Terastodon, Craterhoof Behemoth, and Vorinclex Voice of Hunger. At number 4, we have Gonti Knight Minister, which has a mana value of black 2, and it's a 3/4 legendary creature, Aetherborn Rogue. It has the ability of whenever a player casts a spell they don't own, that player creates a treasure token. Whenever a creature deals combat damage to one of your opponents, its controller looks at the top card of that opponent's library and exiles it face down. They may play that card for as long as it remains exiled. Mana of any type can be spent to cast spells this way. I'm gonna go ahead and say it, this card will make a bunch of people's top 10 saltiest cards for 2025. The reason for that being is everybody else gets to play with each other's decks except your deck. And a lot of players don't like when other players play with their cards. At number 3, we have Loot the Pathfinder, which has a mana value of 2 green, blue, and a red. It is a 2/4 legendary creature, Beast Noble, that has Double Strike, Vigilance, and Haste. Also has 3 different exhaust abilities, which is green tap, add 3 mana of any one color, blue tap, draw 3 cards, red tap, loot, deals 3 damage to any target. The most exciting exhaust ability is the green one, since it has the highest combo potential. Loot has a nice 3-card combo, including itself, a Training Grounds, and a Deadeye Navigator. Once you've assembled this, you'll be able to use that exhaust ability to then blink the loot, netting 1 additional mana. Note that you do have to have a forest to start this off because you'll need 3 blue, and then after that you'll be able to keep going and generating more mana, which will mean infinite mana, which equals infinite draws, which equals infinite damage, which typically means win. At number 2 we have Unstoppable Plan, which is an enchantment for blue and 2 that has the ability of, at the beginning of your end step, untap all non-land permanents you control. Unstoppable Plan plus Wilderness Reclamation equals Seaborn Muse at home. The main reason I like this card is because it's mono blue. All you need to do to ensure that your pod has a bad time is a Arcane Signet and a Stasis, comboed with this card. And coming in the number 1 slot today is Ketramose, the New Dawn. For 1 white and a black, it is a legendary creature god that is a 4/4. It has Menace, Lifelink, and Indestructible. It can't attack or block unless there are 7 or more cards in exile. And the key ability of why we're playing it is whenever 1 or more cards are put into exiles from graveyards and or the battlefield during your turn, you draw a card and lose 1 life. Cards like Swords to Plowshares not only removes a creature, but it also nets you 1 card. Oh look, a Deadly Relic, a free removal spell that also nets you 1 card. Pair this with Felidar Guardian and guess what? It nets you 1 card. Pair this with any cheap artifacts like Ghost Vacuum that have the ability to tap exile a card from a graveyard, which again, nets you a card. You're starting to see why this card is so fun to build around. And there you have it, the top 8 cards to pick up from Aetherdrift. If you want to support Paper Player, all you have to do is either like, share, subscribe, follow, or comment. And most importantly, thank you for watching.